In today's lesson, we are starting a new topic. We're going to be talking about probability. And in the previous lecture, we talked a lot about variation in mean variation. And today, we are starting the topic of probability. So, definitely, we just want to dive into the definition and the meaning of probability. What really is this thing that we call probability? So we're just going to have a simple introduction so that we get an idea what probability is. When we talk about probability, what do we really mean, and what are we trying to put across? So probability is about the study of uncertainty. We are studying things that we are not sure of. We are sure of certain things. Sometimes a few things in life we are very sure of them, that they're going to happen or they may not happen. So probability talks about there are a lot of things which are not certain in life, and probability talks about those uncertainty, or trying to put a number to uncertainty, as in how uncertain this thing is, how much of it is uncertain. So probability theory also gives us the tools to set up a mathematical model of systems and processes which are affected by random occurrences or chances. So we're trying to put a number to chance. What's the chance that you're going to pass your exams? What's the chance that you're going to achieve your goals? What's the chance that it's going to rain tomorrow? Such things. So probability is the topic or the idea, the science that calculates uncertainty, or the study of uncertainty. So in an informal way, for example, you might have been familiar, or something that you might have said, or an idea you might have had, might have been familiar with probability. For example, statements like "it might start raining soon," that is a statement about probability. You're talking about the probability that you rain. Okay, it might be lucky. I might be lucky and pass all my examinations. Okay, you're talking about probability. It's very unlikely that my team will not win the premiership this year. We're talking about probability. So those are the ideas that you might have had at one point, which might have put you in a position that you are concerned with the outcome of something, and that is what where probability comes in. So when it comes to probability as a science, there are a few terminologies that we should look at, and that are of interest to us when we are studying probability, and we should know about them. So we're going to look at the terminologies that are used, terminology that is used with probability, and there are four main terms that we want to look at this stage. Number one is experiment, number two is outcome, event, and finally sample space. So these are the four terms that we want to just define before we get on the calculation and everything probability. These are the four words we want to look at: an experiment, an outcome, an event, and the sample space. So what is an experiment? Well, we've been doing experiments all along in the lab. We've been experimental procedures, those things. So what really is an experiment? So you have an idea what an experiment is. Just a formal definition. It's the same with probability: an activity with an observable result or a set of results. For example, when it comes to probability, an experiment would be something like tossing a coin, which of course the outcome may be a head or a tail. So that is an experiment. That is an activity you do which has got an observable result. That is an experiment with probability. Second will be that is for experiments. So when we talk about experiments in probability, we're talking about an activity which has got a result which we can observe. We can toss a coin or anything that any other experiment that we might do with an observable result. Or we can flip a card, whatever it is that we're doing. Second is an outcome. So when we talk about an outcome, definitely from the word outcome is a result, right? A result about something. So an outcome when it comes to probability is a result of that experiment we have been talking about. For example, tossing a coin has got two possible outcomes or two possible results. It's either a head or a tail. So it's heads or tails. That is the outcome with tossing a coin. So the experiment is tossing a coin. The possible outcomes, heads or tails. So an outcome is simply an observable result of an experiment. For example, tossing a coin. That is with probability. And an event. An event, this is just an outcome, a set of outcomes to an experiment of interest to the experimenter. What's the outcome to which is of interest to you? What are you looking at? Will you toss a coin? What do you want? Will you, for example, the two of us, you and me, you and I, we set up to do something, and then we say to toss a coin, which is an experiment which we know has got two possible outcomes, heads or tails, and then you pick one. I pick heads. You pick tails. Then whatever I choose is the event that favors me, and whatever I choose is the event that favors you. So the outcome which is of interest to you is an event. In the event that it's heads or tails, something happens, or you win, somebody else wins. So that is an event, something which is of interest to you. And finally, we're talking about the sample space. When we talk about the sample space with probability, we're talking about the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment. You might toss a coin. So what are the possibility? What are the possible outcomes of that experiment of tossing a coin? It's heads or tails, right? If you are rolling a die, you know you have got 6 sides, so it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the sample space may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when we talk about the sample space, we're talking about all the possible outcomes. What are the possible outcomes of tossing a coin? If you toss a coin, you might have a head or a tail. If you roll a die, you might have a 1, 2. So if it's a coin, tossing a coin, you're tossing a coin, you might have a head or tails, right? Because that's got only 2 possible outcomes. So this is the sample space for tossing a coin. Sample space for tossing a coin. If you're rolling a die has got 6 sides, so you might have possible is that there's a 1, there's a 2, you might roll a 3, you might roll a 4, you might roll a 5, you might roll a 6. Okay, so these are the possible, all the possible outcome, all the possibilities that might come from that experiment. Okay, so this is called the sample space. Okay, this is called the sample space. So that's what we mean when we say we talk about the sample space and probability. Right, so definition, let us just have the, if a sample space S consists of n simple outcomes which are equally likely, and an event A consists of m of those simple outcomes, then the definition of probability will be the probability of the event A occurring is equals to m, which is the number of outcomes in A, which is the events, divided by n, which is the number of outcomes, total number of outcomes in S, which is in the sample space. Alright, so this gives us the formula for finding the probability of an event occurring. Let's say you want to know, is it possible, is it going to be heads, or is it going to be heads or tails? So the probability that you, let's say you're rolling a die, you roll a die, and then you know that when you roll that die, the total, first of all, you consider the sample space for rolling a die, which you know that you have the sample space, you have 1, 2, 3, up to 6. Okay, so you have got 6 possible outcomes, 6 possible, total possible outcomes, 6 of them. And then let's say you want to roll a 2. So how many of outcomes, how many events or sides are going to give you a 2 from a dice? Only 1. So the possibility is that you have 1 out of the total, which is 6. So this is the number of outcomes in the in A, which is the outcome which is likely in the event A. You just have 1, and then the total number of outcomes in the sample space is 6. So the probability becomes 1 over 6. So the probability of picking or rolling a 2 is 1 over 6. Now in short, you get the number of outcomes in the sample space, the possible number of outcomes in the sample space, for the outcomes in the event, divided by the total number of outcomes in the sample space, and that gives you the formula for probability, or the definition for probability. So what we are saying is, if I have a collection of let's say signs, okay, times, plus, minus, and the division sign. So I've got multiplication sign, the division sign, addition and subtraction. 4 signs, right? These are the signs that I have in my this set here. So this set is called the sample space. The sample space. Why? Because that is everything I have, right? Everything I have, everything there is in here. So this is called the sample.